Thanks a lot, Holly, Kate, and Sherelle for those amazing presentations. So now we can have a brief Q&A. Does anybody here or in the chat has a question that they want to ask? Well, you still have some minutes, but in the meantime, I just want to mention that all of these presentations highlight the need of art and culture to reconnect with ourselves, and I wonder how these practices that are so analog in a sense can be reflected in a practical way in museological institutions. So it's good that these presentations invite us to reflect on this, and they are also in line with this approach in art and science lately, which is like going more to like analogical subjects such as care, community, interspecies relationships, the commons, despite that we are in a very like digital age and ecological crisis. So thank you to the speakers for sharing your projects on this. And I don't think we have any questions, do we? Okay, well then, you?
I can ask a question.
Do you want to? Yeah, we'll bring you the mic.
Thank you so much, Holly, Kate, and Sherelle. This was a really, I felt there were lots of connections across the presentations. And Holly, you quoted Edouard Glissant, and you quoted his concept of the uprooted sacred. And then you gave us this really beautiful account of love, of the love vine through Tamika Galanis's practice. And Kate, I know you've thought so much about Edouard Glissant and his notions of, well, his many notions and his many concepts, but I wondered maybe if there was a connection there with any of the thinking that you've been doing, particularly around this notion of the uprooted sacred. And then Sherelle, I wondered if that maybe in a slightly different context connected with your exploration of kind of ritual and processes of kind of memorialization and the sacred. So yeah, it's a question for all three of you, and I just thought that was a nice point of connection.
Yeah. Or can you begin with your answer?
I can begin.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. In thinking, the sacred is important for me in thinking about the kinds of practices that I look at and the ways that these practices engender different kinds of gathering, and the ways that we can be held through our gathering around objects in ways that feel safe, in ways that feel generative. And I think that was a very interesting point you made about how we can translate this research into creative contemporary art practices into the field of museology. And I think it's to do with the kinds of conversations that are held. But in thinking about Glissant and the sacred, the way that my work's thinking about that is what is made visible, and what is made visible, what is held sacrosanct in the movement of objects around the world. And so I'm starting to think about both the individual, the small community sacred, and then how that's expanded to be thinking about systems of value and exchange on a global scale. Yeah. What do you think, Holly?
Yeah, I'm hoping that you're hearing me still.
Yes, we are.
Yes. You know, I tend to ground that word into like presence and embodiment. And perhaps if we take the very long look at history and how far removed we've like drifted from that sacredness and are like return because we're always in it as well. Um, I'm thinking about faith, you know, the practice of faith, the practice of being devoted to something, you know, whether that be the way we show up for our community or the kind of questions we're asking institutions. And one thing that provoked me about Cheryl's presentation was the way in which that kind of like auditory sensation, the presence of the work, the presence of the word, um, like retains its sacredness by being offered.
Cheryl, would you like to speak to that?
The current situation that we as women are in a room of conversation and also exchanging ideas, there's always a connection to build between the visuals of what the artists have created to convey to the needs of the current times, which is to come back and go backwards in the way that we practice our artistic practice and research practices, or being together as a way to communicate and share our experiences as humans, as women. We are here to collaborate in terms of the what we have learned on the communities in several different geographical locations. And with that, that includes the culture and also the social relations and social practices of individuals and also groups altogether. So to see the what has been talked about by the speakers today, we are being taken to appreciate the works of the writers, the researchers, the theorists who have lived in the area, but also being able to inspire those who are not in the community or who might be in the community.
Yeah, thank you, Cheryl. So I think with this, we close our session. Let's have a brief coffee and move on. And yeah, thank you so much for coming again. And I hope you enjoy your day.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.